Alright, hey, I'm Shayna Alverson, Kilo Coach. Today I want to talk about sit-ups. I prefer to have people use a sit-up wedge. This is an older sit-up wedge that has gotten kind of super smushy, so it really doesn't have a whole lot of support, and I'll explain why that's important in a minute. This one is a little bit newer. It's nice and firm, so it's going to give me some support when I lean back on it. You could take a yoga mat and fold it up and put it underneath your lumbar. The idea is we want to work rectus abdominis. This is the six-pack muscles across the front of your body, and the function of those muscles is to flex and help extend the spine. So when I do a sit-up, I want to stretch out rectus abdominis, and then as I come up, I'm going to flex the spine and finish the movement at the very top. Somewhere around this area is where my hip flexors are going to finish closing that angle, right? It's going to get my shoulders all the way to my knees here. If I don't have this mat to lean against, what happens is there's nothing to support my lumbar. So as I go to crunch rectus, the lumbar compresses into the ground and I can't get myself up using my low abs. So from this point, this would just be a crunch. From this point, if I'm turning it into a sit-up, the hip flexors are going to take over and kind of pull me the rest of the way up. Your hip flexors are attached to your low spine. So if you're doing full range of motion sit-ups without a back support, that's when you hear sit-ups are bad for your back, right? Because that muscle is kind of cranking on your lumbar to pull you the rest of the way up. So we use the wedge to support the low back. This one's nice and firm. It's going to give me some leverage. So as I crunch the ribs down, now I'm going to push my low back into the mat, and that's going to help lift me up to finish that sit-up. And you can see I didn't hit a stall point anywhere in there. It was nice and smooth from full extension here, right? I've stretched out my belly. I'm pushing the lumbar into the mat all the way up. Got lots of control. If I take this old wedge, which doesn't really have any support left, and I try to compress the lumbar into it, I'm going to crunch the ribs down. Now it doesn't have anything to push against, and so I'm going to kind of be cranking the rest of the way up with the hip flexors. Right, rectus, I'm going to make them as long as possible. And to do that, I need to leave my hips touching the ground. So my butt cheeks are going to stay in contact with the floor here, and I'm going to stretch, 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 stretch. I like to have people touch the back of their head to the floor, gently of course, don't slam. And you can use your arms all you want. That's just going to give you a little more stretch. And to initiate the sit-up, the ribs are going to crunch, and then I'm going to finish by pressing the lumbar into the mat and go all the way and reach forward. I like to have my athletes touch the ground in front of the toes. If you're going to touch just your feet, there's still this much sit-up left. So go ahead, make it a better sit-up, get that full range of motion. What happens to a lot of people is when they go back here, they don't feel very strong in their abs, or they don't have enough support here, and so they feel like they want to start off with a little bit of momentum, and what happens is the hips will lift up. I like to call this the kipping sit-up. So when this happens, they kind of tuck the tailbone under and flick themselves forward. Now again, this is going to be almost a pure hip flexor sit-up that just has a static contraction in the abs. The other thing that's happening when I go back like this and just kind of flick myself forward is I'm exposing my tailbone to the ground. So if I do this enough times, I'm just creating a bunch of friction by grinding my tailbone against the ground, and that's what causes that big blister. If you've ever gotten a blister on your tailbone from doing sit-ups, it's because you're not letting yourself stretch all the way out and then initiate by crunching the ribs down and then finishing the sit-up. So you want to make sure that when you go back, you don't let your hips come out of contact with the ground, right? You want to stretch here instead. Almost think of relaxing the hips down so that when you sit up, you're going to keep them in contact with the ground and use your abs to set you up and not your hip flexors.